Hi, I'm Midge Shoemaker, and this is day 23 of me doing 100 YouTube videos in a row, 100 days of YouTube videos, I guess. And I actually had to go double check to make sure today was day 23 before I started. So, yay, I'm getting far enough in here that I can't remember what day I'm on. I think that's a good thing, I hope. I don't know. I'm still obviously still a little nervous about all of this, but I'm excited to say that I did finish my book last night, like I said I was going to. So, yay! I actually followed through on a commitment, and I'm kind of on a little bit of a high. Granted, I know there's still a long process before it actually gets published, but to be through the first draft is amazing. And I know I should have probably read through my book one more time before I sent it out to beta readers, but I was just so excited that it was done that I sent it out to like 8 people that I know, that some of whom volunteered, some of whom I specifically asked if they could read my book for me and give me some feedback. So yay, now I just get to sit back and wait for feedback. So then it's kind of like, okay, what do I do now? What's the next step in the writing process? So I think I need to start figuring out, I know what I want my book cover to look like. I just need to find someone that can help me get the idea in my head onto paper because I cannot draw. I tried. I do stick art, but I don't think that is going to attract people to want to read my book. So I need something a little bit more professional done. But I don't have any money, so it's kind of trying to find people that I know that are willing to help me or that can help me for very cheap because I don't have a lot of money. But I mean, I know there's pre-made book covers out there that I could just go and get, or pictures that I could get off the internet or buy to like make my own cover. But I don't want someone else's picture. I have a picture in my head that I want, so I'm kind of being stubborn about this because that's what I want. For my next book, I think I'm okay with taking pictures because I just want, castles and brothers. So that's easy enough to find pictures to build my own book cover with. But this one is a little bit different. So I want it to be more specific to my book, and I kind of already tried to draw it. It didn't work. So anyway, anybody knows any artists out there that are willing to draw a book cover for me, that'd be awesome. If not, that's okay because I will find someone. I also know that I can start working on my next book, which is Fall of Espinglandia, which means I need to rewrite that book. Yay! And of course, I have ideas for it. And since I've been writing Lanoya and the Teachers of Powers, that title may change, so don't quote me on that one right now. Uh, that's the book I just finished, but I wrote that one, and so now I have ideas as to how to change the Fall of Espinglandia. So yes, I kind of write my books out of order. To be perfectly honest, I started with the Fall of Espinglandia to explain the Wise One series, which I haven't finished writing. And then I ended up writing the Lanoya and the Teachers of Powers book to explain the Fall of Espinglandia. So I keep creating new story ideas to explain my story ideas. It's very entertaining in my head, let me tell you. So eventually, I'm hoping to get it written in a form that everyone can understand and read. But I am grateful that I finished my book. And it also occurs to me that my willingness to just send it out to even just 8 people to let them read it, and some of them I'm not sure I trust entirely. They're just more acquaintances. But I thought, you know what? That's what the general public is going to be like. So I need a general public response instead of just, a trusted friend that's going to tell me what they want to tell me what I want to hear. Well, they may just be honest with me. I have friends that are really good and honest, and they will criticize my work for me. So yeah, I have one I sent it to that I'm kind of nervous about her response because she'll tear my book up, which I need. I need somebody to do that because then I can go back and make it really good so that when it gets published for the public, it will be really good. So that's why I sent it to her, because I need that kind of feedback. And I have friends that are just like, oh, this is really good, this is really good. And I'm like, yay, help me. What's really good? What's really bad? What can I fix? And yeah, those people are great too, because I love the affirmation, I do, but it doesn't help me become a better writer. So I'm trying to find a balance and not wanting to send it to too many people because I don't want to get overwhelmed or confused with comments, but I want to see if there's some kind of general pattern of things that people like or don't like so that I can fix it. But again, now it's the waiting game. I just get to wait for responses. But I like that I could just send it out without, because I mean, I know the first several chapters of the book I sent back and forth to my mentor to learn how to write and to improve my writing skills. And I reread through my book when I started writing it again back in June, I think, because I hadn't read it for like 2 months, and I made some minor changes then. So it's probably only the last 3 or 4 chapters that I haven't read through a second or third time to revise. And I know I didn't read the last chapter I just wrote last night. So I'm like, okay, these people are getting my raw writing, and I hope it's okay. But I realize too that that means I'm letting go of my perfectionism. Like, it has to be perfect before people can see it. And I'm like, I know it's not perfect. I'm sending it out to people knowing it's not perfect, and I'm asking them to tell me what's wrong so I can fix it. Like, I'm actually asking for criticism. It's like, this is amazing. And I'm excited about it too, which is so crazy. Because seriously, I think before I started these videos, or before I even started writing, my biggest fear was I didn't want people's criticism. Like, I wanted everybody to like it, being that people pleaser that I am, and afraid to share it because I was afraid people would make fun of me, or they wouldn't like my writing, or, that whole it's not good enough thing. And now I'm like, none of those things even crossed my mind. It's amazing. They just didn't even cross my mind when I was sending out my book. I just like posted it on Facebook and said, hey, I'm done with my book. What do you think? Who wants to read it? Like, yay. I'm crazy. But I love it. I love this feeling that I have. I love feeling good about myself. I love feeling good about the work that I've accomplished. And I'm actually looking forward to getting it back so that I can fix it and make it good enough to publish. I'm excited about finding someone that can help me create a book cover. I also need to figure out the little tag thing on the back of the book. I don't know what you call that. I have to learn what that's called. But basically, the little thing they put on the back of the books where you kind of read it, it's like a little shortened mini version of the book to kind of grab people's attention. So when they like read the back of the book, what's the book about, basically? So I need to figure out. And my problem with that is I think I wrote a really good book that people like, but when I think about the book, I think, well, I wrote this book to introduce all the teachers of powers, to introduce all the characters that are in my next book. So it's a prequel to the next book. But nobody's going to pick up a book and read it if I write on the back that this is a prequel to the next book, and it's only good because it introduces the powers and the characters and the land and all that stuff, because that's a lot of stuff to introduce. That's a lot of things to happen. And it's all seen through a little orphan girl's eyes. So she's learning about all these different powers that she didn't realize existed, didn't realize that that's what she had or what she'd been doing her entire life, given an opportunity for a better life, but not seeing it as an opportunity, seeing it as a punishment, and wanting to run back to her old life, which, eventually she learns her old life is not as good as the new life that she's being offered. So that's the gist of my book. Spoiler alert for anybody that obviously hasn't read it, because I haven't published it. So that's my little spoiler alert blurb about my book. So I need to find a way to write it so it entices people to want to read it. So I need to come up with a blurb that entices people to want to read my book. So I think that's next on my list. And also, obviously, starting my next book, because why sit around and do nothing when I can start working on rewriting The Fall of Espinglandia and deciding if, seeing where that book goes. And so that's exciting. Something more to write. Always more writing. I have so many stories in my head. I think I'll be writing until I'm dead. So, which is good. I think that's great, because it'll just give me something to do for the rest of my life. It gives me a purpose in my life. And, it's funny because I wrote The Fall of Espinglandia the first time before I ever got married. And then I stopped writing. I never figured out how to publish it. I never figured out what I did wrong with my writing. I didn't have a mentor or anything like that back then. So now I have a clearer vision as to what I did wrong with my writing. And so when I was looking at it before, I was like, oh yeah, now I really see why I need to rewrite all of this. So hopefully I rewrite it with the new writing skills that I've learned, instead of trying to keep writing it, keeping the old stuff, because it's hard to let go of some of the old stuff. It's hard to just say, I don't want that anymore, but it doesn't work for my book anymore. So I have to let go of a lot of those things. And of course, my mentor pointed out that I'm like, hey, all these characters I'm letting go of, I can create side stories for all of them in their lives. And I was like, no, don't give me more ideas, because seriously, my head will run with that, and I'll make way more stories. So eventually I might go back and do side stories to characters if I get really bored, or if people are interested. I get a large enough following of people that want to read stuff about them. But if not, I'm not gonna I'm not going to go through the effort to do that because obviously that's I've got so many other stories to write anyway. I need to finish the actual series of stories that I have to write before I go back and write more side stories, or I will constantly be distracted from finishing my series, which would be sad. So this another thing, I think just finishing it makes me feel good and makes me want to get on track to doing the next book, the next writing of things. And then of course at some point I have to figure out how to format my book so that can be published like on Amazon and Kindle or Barnes and Noble or something like that. And then I have to figure out the whole self-publishing process and do the little forward thank you thing and the whole editing thing. But the editing thing comes after the beta reading thing, so I got to wait for the beta readers. So the only other thing I can do is work on the little tag on the back of the book, whatever you call that, I don't even know, to attract the readers to want to read my book, and figure out how to do a book cover and start working on my next book. So I apparently have quite a few things I can work on. So I don't have to just sit here and be like, okay, what am I going to do? And I didn't ask my beta readers, I didn't give them a time frame in which to read my book and send back comments. So I don't know. Excuse me, got something in my throat there. I don't know when I'm going to get these back. So that's another thing I have to figure out. Yay, that's always exciting, the waiting thing. I don't like waiting. I'm a very impatient person. So I think God is teaching me a little bit of patience here. But I am grateful that I have all this writing to do and to see this purpose in my book. I think I started mentioning that and I got sidetracked. That, when I got married, I stopped writing. When I got divorced, I felt like I'd lost all purpose in life and I didn't know what direction I was going to go, and I was devastated and I just shut down for the longest time. And then I went to a class for church. It was a self-reliance class on how to start your own business. And that's where I met my mentor. She's an author, Betsy Love. She's really amazing. She's written some bunch of really good books. Anyway, I met her there, and she's been helping me with my writing and encouraging me, and she's been teaching me how to write better, giving me other books that I can read and absorb so that I can write to readers instead of just writing a book for myself, which is what I did the first time, which is good because I needed to at least know that I could write a book. So that first time took me like 10 years. This time took me a year. It's been about a year since I started working on Lanoya and the Teachers of Power. So yay. And hopefully I will actually have it published before the end of this year. That's my goal anyway. And then I will at least have one published book this year. I would have liked to have had more, but I just not there yet. And that's okay. And I think as I get more proficient and I get more books published and I get more confident with myself and my writing abilities, it'll be a little bit easier. And obviously I need to be more consistent and not go like 2 or 3 months without writing, because that's another reason it's taken me this long to finish my book. So anyway, I'm grateful that I'm overcoming all of these hurdles. I'm grateful that I'm still making these videos. I'm grateful to finally have a purpose or direction in my life, to feel like there's a reason for me to get out of bed every day and do things. And I'm grateful that I started making these videos and talking about things that I'm grateful for, because it's really helped improve my attitude and made me see the good things in my life and made me be willing to work towards better things in my life. And those are all good things. And today I'm just excited, and I hope this continues and carries forward. And, I hope anybody watching these videos is able to focus on things that they're grateful for. I know that, any struggles they're going through, that God is there to help you. And that if you're working towards a goal, keep working towards it. It's totally worth the feeling to accomplish something. And I know I still don't have that book in my hand to say that I'm done, but I at least did the whole first draft, and it's so exciting. And I just don't feel like the rewriting or editing process hasn't been horrible up to this point. So I don't think it'll be that hard or time consuming, especially since the book is actually written. A little more overwhelmed with the prospect of rewriting The Fall of Esplanade, because I literally have to just take the ideas from the book and use it as kind of a outline, which I'm not really good with outlines. I did not even do an outline for this book. I did occasionally come up with ideas that I typed in to get to, or wrote chapters out of order for this book, because those when my brain popped into ideas. And I was really wishing last night that I'd written out of order the last chapter of my book that I thought of, because when I went to write it, I could not remember what I was going to put in there. So it ended up being a completely different chapter, which is okay because I think it worked with the book. So anyway, I'm just grateful that it's done, and grateful that I'm learning my process, and grateful to know that God is helping me through this. And I'm grateful for anybody that's choosing to watch these videos, and I hope that it's helping you and that you're choosing to focus on things that you're grateful for in your life too. And so if you hit like, subscribe, share, whatever you want to do. And I hope you have a great day full of gratitude.